In today's video, we have my Supercoach team reveal for 2022. So definitely excited to share this team and see what you guys think. Before we get into the team, feel free to join our Discord. We've nearly hit 3.5 million messages in our Discord. It's been pretty active over the past few years. So yeah, feel free to join in the community. And if you want a few last minute league codes, we'll drop those in there. Also, our Facebook page, we do some Facebook exclusive content on at Fantasy Take TV and also the Twitter page. So Eno does a great job running that. So yeah, we'll get straight into the team and we'll go straight to D1. Or before getting to the team, we'll just speak about the difficulties of coming up with a team this year. Just the defender rookies look really rough, and midfielders, a lot of good mid-priced and rookies in the midfield. So hard decisions have to be made. Rucks we'll get to, and then the forward line, a few mid-prices have popped up. So I'll try and explain why I've picked and not picked certain players. So yeah, it's always going to be a tough one. So my D1 this year is Jack Crisp, and I didn't expect to pick Jack Crisp earlier in the year, but I guess I respect his back half of last year. I really loved his game in the preseason. I think his drive up the field and down back is fantastic for Collingwood. Worth noting that he probably spends a bit more time in the midfield this year, which he doesn't score as well in halfback, but I feel like it's a hybrid midfield back role because it kind of floats back a little bit after CBAs from what I saw. So I like Crisp. I like his durability. I'd be shocked if he isn't top 6. Maybe a little downside with him, and is expensive. So one I'd be happy going without, but I just need to fill the defense with someone. So no Jake Lloyd. I've been over that in the podcast and whatnot, but I think he's a solid pick still. So my D2 is Jaden Short. So I think watching him in the preseason, I was just the amount of ball he got down back, and I know he loves the preseason games. I think he's 2 preseason games plus the one last year. He didn't outscore any of those games once in the home and away season last year, but they use him a lot. No Hooley upside there. I think it's as simple as that. They rely on him a lot. So he's probably easy pick down back. So wasn't too sure with Short, but it grew on me. Took a bit longer to grow on me, and yeah, we'll pick Jaden Short. So the next player I have is one Lachie Whitfield. I don't think Whitfield is a must-have, and I do feel slightly worried because of his durability, but it's really not that bad. I guess he's prone to contact stuff, and it happens every year basically, so might not be as smooth sailing as we hope, but I think the upside is really good. He was unbelievable in the first game, his first practice game. The second one was sort of just okay, but nonetheless, the upside and the price is really good. And why not own a GWS player? So that's that. But yeah, I like Whitfield. I think it's a high ownership, can do damage if you don't have him. Might do damage if you do have him, but I think I'd rather be on the Whitfield train. So star player, love to watch him. And yeah, he's in with a full preseason, unlike last year. Now the next player I have is someone who we flagged on the Fantasy Take TV Facebook page a few months ago, and that's George Stewart. So the role is there. Am I super confident in this pick? Probably not super confident, but reasonable confidence that this pick will do well because he's a really good inside mid. I keep saying he averaged 96 in the midfield in the back half of last year when he was used there. I think one game he had 23% CBA, so I took that game out, and you get a 96. So he was able to freely hunt the ball, unlike how he was used at Sydney. So, and they really rate him very, very highly internally. So I like Hewitt. His price is really good, and the defense, it's a lot of these players. I don't love the value of a lot of these guys. So for me, I will happily pick George Hewitt. And yeah, he's been in my team for a while, presents great value and your potential. I think I have him about D10 or D11 at the moment in my ranks. So fingers crossed that goes well. So yeah, price is very, very good. And now the next spot. So if I had to pick another defender, it would be Jordan Ridley, because JD has sold me on Ridley. He's playing much more freely than he did last year. He's doing whatever he wants, and he's actually getting more kick-ins, it seems, than we anticipated. So I think Ridley's a really strong pick, and he will enter my team if rookies allow that to happen. But for now, we are rolling with a bit of a pod in Heath Chapman. So, Heath Chapman. I watched his highlights and I watched a bit of the West Coast. I think I watched the first half of the West Coast Freo game. So, okay, first we'll start off with the concern. So obviously, he's a second-year player, so not great, and he's unproven basically. But his junior numbers are really good. He has a lot of great attributes. I really enjoyed watching him play. I think he was pulling off some phenomenal kicks, which was really good to watch. He can intercept. He doesn't get kick-ins, which really sucks, but sounds like Wilson might be out for a bit with some shoulder issue. So maybe that helps him a little bit. But yeah, his intercepting and kicking was really impressive. And he showed an ability to find the footy over the 2 games in the preseason. So this pick is one that I'd rather not pick. But at D5, I'm really, really struggling. And if you listen to the podcast we did the other day, I worry about Hinge's shoulder. He's not training this week. He hurt it on the weekend. So for me, Supercoach 101, don't pick injured players. That's one of, I guess, a no-brainer rule for me. So he might be okay if he plays round 1, but given his history, I will not pick that. So yeah, unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now my next player is Paddy Mccarten. So key defender with intercepting capabilities and seems to be okay winning the ball, can take contested marks. Looks like he's best 22 and he's all we got basically, so he is in. And yeah, I'd rather him probably on the bench, but he does have a bit of scoring power, so I think a lot of people will field him and we'll all be in the same boat if something happens, so that's fine. So yeah, he's impressed in the preseason. The next one we have is Josh Gibkas, and I'm not happy about this pick, but unfortunately we don't really have a choice unless we go an extra deep in defense. So key defender, I was listening to Chris, AFL Draft expert, speak about him. Says he has no rebounding capabilities. Had a really good time on ground. Seems to have a bit of intercepting capabilities. So maybe he can score okay here and there. If he can make 80 to 100k, I think I'll be okay. It's just it's that or a donut at this stage. So we'll see how that goes. And then the last player I have is SDK. So the savior, it seems. I didn't really want to pick him all pre-season, but his VFL numbers were pretty shocking, but he's come on in leaps and bounds apparently. I think Josh Jenkins said he's basically a lock for the team a few weeks ago. And he scored, I think, a 90 or an 80 in the pre-season game. So obviously he's not going to score that often at all. But given he's shown that he can do that, he just needs to do it once and he can make a bit of money for us. And I think his job security should be okay. I think they need to play him. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's all we got. So that's okay. So we'll pick SDK. So that's the defense. Don't mind Sicily if you want to go for Sicily. I didn't like the kick out numbers and I didn't like that he's going to have to play lockdown a bit more often. But yeah, if you want to go for Sicily, I'm not against that. I have him, I think, D11, D12 or something like that. But definitely can do better, especially if Hardigan comes back. And he's going to get a lot of supply back there. So onto the midfield. Midfield's tough because we have all these 650k players. We want to pick all 4 and we can't. I think we can only pick 2. You could go 3, but honestly, every time I've tried to fit all 3 of Mcrae, Took and Steele in the team, it just destroys. Like, I have to get rid of a good rookie to a bad rookie. I have to, compromise, go down on, go crisp down to like a Sicily or something. Like I can't figure it out, or go down to 11 premiums. I just can't find a way. And I also really want a lot of these midfielders on the field. So I'll get to that in a second. M1, Jack Mcrae. There's no way I sit through not owning Jack Mcrae, especially because everyone will VC him for the first 2 months. I love Jack Mcrae, unbelievable player, unbelievable scoring history, and on the Mount Rushmore for midfielders. Very bad man, Jack Mcrae. They had a great final series, but Bevo did take him out the middle in the grand final, which was very silly, and don't think he'll do that again. Worth noting that he did start at half forward for the first half of the first quarter in one of his games, in the second Amy game, or the only Amy game. So a little bit annoying, but he still racked it up at will. And Treloar, I think, is in doubt for round 1, but might be okay with a shoulder issue. But we'll see how that goes. But yep, love Jack Mcrae. Probably get in cheaper, but he's our VC. So lock him in. So the next player we have in the midfield, and this breaks my heart because I love Jack Steele to death. But I needed 5k or 3k, so I've saved a bit of money, and it's the only way I can find. I've gone to Tuke Miller. So I don't want to go without Jack Steele at all. I think it's a bad idea, but Tuke looked unreal on the weekend. Tuke has a ruckman now. The moment I saw Witts get a hit out to advantage to Tuke, I was like, well, he didn't have that last year. I think that might be a bit of upside right there. Maybe Davies, who's playing the Greenwood role, and Rowe take some tackles off him. But Miller, he looked unbelievable in the preseason game. So we are, as everyone says, the hardest working player in the comp. We'll go Tuke Miller. I think he's going to floor West Coast in round 1. Maybe we'll just straight see Tuke. If I don't think I'll run a loophole, but yeah, I think that will be the case. I think I'll see on Tuke. So the only reason why, there's 2 reasons why I don't have Jack Steele. Number 1 is I needed the 5k. And number 2 is he has no help at all. He scored better in the team with Dunstan. Hunter Clark is out. Zach Jones is out for a while. So he has no help. And that's slightly concerns. That's a slight concern. And it's being very picky. So look, Jack Steele, he's probably going to hammer me every week, or people that don't pick him every week. But I just can't find the way. And it's as simple as that. So if I can get a third mid in, if we get a few surprise rookies, absolutely I'll pick Jack Steele. But yeah, we'll get Jack Steele as soon as we can. So yeah, it's just the no help factor that is just being very picky. So, but yeah, I've spoken more about Steele than Miller. But yeah, Miller looks primed, and Gold Coast look okay. So we'll go with that. So my next midfielder has to be Lachie Neale. Looks fit. It's as simple as that. I was skeptical a few months ago, but he's got through the preseason unscathed, and I did say if he has a full preseason, I'll pick him. He's had a full preseason. We'll pick Lachie Neale. High ceiling. And yeah, played really, really well in both practice games. So really impressed with him. We know what he can do. He can hit this 650k. He can go with these guys at his best and actually beyond. Not expecting that, but still. And also Brisbane, I think, will do really well this year. So the next player I have is one that I didn't see coming. It is Matthew Rowe. I think he's must-have. I see people going to get that third mid in. They not going Matt Rowe, but because of what he did in juniors, what he did in his first year, people were picking him for 500k in his second year. And now he's 340k with a full preseason, and his contested numbers are off the charts at the moment. I will pick Matt Rowe. Didn't see this coming, and I said a few months ago, even if he does play really well in the preseason, I won't pick him. I had to see it to realize that I think you need to have Matt Rowe in your team. So what can we expect from him? Well, he dropped to 170 in his second game 2 years back. Like if he does that and you don't have him, I think it's big trouble. So I think he can, put it this way, I think he can go 100 to 105 and make 150 plus. We can keep him on the field for as long as we want. So yeah, he definitely has a scoring power, and 2 120s in the preseason. Yeah, just really, really, really good contest work, but still isn't spreading as well from the contest. But in terms of his contest work, contested ball winning, it's just Supercoach gold. Simple as that. So next we have, if I can find him, Jared Berry. Jared Berry completely destroyed the Crows in his first game, and it took me 5 minutes to realize that I need to have Berry in the team. He's one that's posted 150 plus scores, mostly wing, but pushing up into stoppages and getting a few CBAs. I like Berry. His price is ridiculously cheap. I saw enough in the preseason to lock him in. So we'll pick Jared Berry. Durability is a bit of an issue, and one that I'll get out of as soon as I can, but he can hit 500k, 450, and then we'll trade. Now, we're going rookies here, so we'll go Horne-Francis, Dacos, and Ward. So I want all 3 on the field. Horne-Francis' role isn't super great, but he almost plays a bit like Heaney up forward, just takes those massive grabs, and yeah, really strong contested player, ready to go. So not one I'm willing to fade, and he can have a spike game. Really impressed with him. There's going to be bad games because his role is just not great. And we can flick him forward later on. So I'm pretty sure we will be able to. So we'll pick Horn Francis. I think there's something that's underrated is his under 17 numbers were astronomically high. So I think people don't realize that, and I didn't realize that until someone showed me. So he can actually win the ball a lot. It's just his role at the moment. But yep, he's ready to go. Lock him in. Nick Dacos is the freest pick we have this year, along with Cornelio. So lock him in on field. I can see him pushing 90, 85 to 90. I've never seen such good decision making under pressure ever from a player, from what I've seen of Dacos. So yeah, he's super impressive. So yeah, especially that game against the Giants, he was unbelievable. And then Josh Ward. So yeah, listening to Chris speak about AFL draft experts speak about Ward. His last month, he was almost matching Dacos, I think, something like that. And yeah, I was really concerned about him in his first practice game, but the second one, really, really impressed. Was their best player on the ground, I think. And yeah, showed huge contested ball winning numbers and had almost 30 touches. So big fan of Josh Ward, and yeah, he is in. So worth noting that he might not get as many mid-rotations, but I think his mid-rotations were okay when Titch played the week before. And Titch might be in doubt for round 1 with a groin issue. So my view on Ward is, yes, his role might not be as great as it was in the Amy game, a bit more pushed out to a wing. However, if I'm Sam Mitchell, I think it's mad not to give him as many mid-minutes as he can handle, because they're rebuilding, and why wouldn't you give him as many mid-minutes as he can handle? We know his work ethic is massive, and his endurance is great, so he's a really good player. So looking at this year's draft crop, even though it might be a bit sus because they've missed footy because they're Victorian draftees, but their numbers compared to other years are a lot better than most other years, so we'll lock in Josh Ward. Now the next player we have is, if I can find him, from Sydney. So I see a few people cutting Dylan Stephens to make money, and he's not one I would cut. His role is good. He's a high talent. I think his job security is pretty solid. So only 19% ownership. I think that's too low. So I know people want to cut money here, and he's one I'd actually be happy fielding. So I was impressed with him. Got a teeny bit of inside time, but mostly outside. So he's not one I would be skimping on. Any of these, between Rowd all the way up to Stephens, I want all of them, and I'm not willing to go down into anyone else. So I'm a big fan of Stephens, so lock him in. The next player we have is the young Crow, Jake Soligo. So there's 3 players here that we could pick from. There's Hoff from West Coast, Machito Owens from the St Kilda, and Soligo. And I'm not actually sure who the best one is. I haven't actually looked enough into Machito. I know his time on ground was low, but his points per minutes were high. Soligo's time on ground was sort of low. I think it was in the 60s, but he had the best junior numbers. But he also was shafted to half forward. So we'll see see if Hinge gets up. Maybe Soligo can get a role on a wing if Hinge doesn't play, but we'll see. And the other one is Hoff. So playing halfback looks very raw, but his time on ground was good, and he seems to be played alright. Seems to be a good user of the ball. So I'm not actually sure which ones to go here. I think the Crows rate Soligo pretty highly, and they just signed him up, and I think he's going to play round 1. So I have him for now, but that's something that I will look into a little bit and hopefully get a really good read on it. But for now, I like Soligo. So yeah. And then the last player I have is from Hawthorn, one Conor Mcdonald, if I can just find him. So yeah, his numbers, I think they were better than Ward's in NAB League, but probably a bit more suited to the outside role at Hawthorn. I think they should play him. And yeah, had a great preseason, one of the standouts. So I think he'll be a bit of a slow burn, one I'm happy to put on the bench. And that's simple as that. So hopefully he keeps playing. I don't know how good his job security is, but I think Sam Mitchell would want to play these guys. So yeah, his numbers, again, in NAB League were fantastic. So 31, 32 touches, something ridiculous like that. So that's the midfield. No steal. I don't mind the Cripps pick. We're not going to hate on the Cripps pick anymore. I definitely respected what he's done in the preseason. I do worry about Cripps long term because we know in 2019, as the season progressed, especially in the second half, his output definitely dropped. But I could see Cripps opening the first month with 130 average, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So I just hope Rowe goes close to him, and then Mcrae and Miller hold up 130, 125 to 130 sort of range. So we'll see how that goes. Now in the ruck line, keep it simple. Gawn, Grundy, Jack Hayes. No Sean Darcy. I was on Darcy for most of the preseason, and the more I thought about it, the more I realised that it was a bit of an injury risk. But with a full preseason, I thought I could do it. Too many. As soon as I heard Achilles tightness, out he went straight away. So Gawn and Grundy. Gawn seems to be getting a bit more time behind the ball, which is great. Good for his scoring. So maybe he can go improve on the second half of last year. It seems like he really, really needs to stuff the stat sheet to score a 130, which is a little concern. So I only have him at about 115. But I think he'll be the third best scoring ruck, but better durability than Sean Darcy. I don't want to use trades in the ruck line at all. I hated it. I hated doing that, and it was very, very frustrating. So we have Gawn, and next we have Grundy. So I think we're all picking Grundy, expecting a little bit of a bounce back. His time on ground is not 90% anymore. It's low 80s. He's not going 130, I don't think. So I have him at about 120 this year, and happy with that pick. And then Jack Hayes is either the loop or the player that he will play at some stage. So whether he plays or not, I don't really mind. We'll just pick him because he's 102, and he's really good. He's a really good player, really good in the SNFL. I think he can play a forward role. He might play round 1 if Ryder is out, and then he might come out. But I think over time he will make money. So you just got to be patient with this one, and use him as a loop when he's not playing. But he'll definitely play throughout the year. So there's only one other play I think you could do unless you like Darcy. The other one would be Tim English, because he's had a role change to full-time ruck now. So he's gone 100 in that 102 in that role in the COVID year, and I think someone did the numbers when he was first ruck last year. I think he went about 91 average, but I think that he would have probably been less playing behind the ball, a bit like Gawn, less chances to intercept. He might have rotated forward instead of floating down back. So I'm not exactly sure there, but I don't think I can stomach Gawn versus English in round 1 and Jackson. But I think he's shown the ability to score while losing the hitouts pretty badly, which is actually quite encouraging. So I don't mind the English play. I'm not against it. I think I have him in my top 6 forwards. It feels like a little risky because later down the line they might start playing Steph Martin. They might bring in Sweet, and that's where English's scoring might go down. So I'm thinking long term. I just feel it's a little risky for my liking. So my F1 is Josh Dunkley. I love Josh Dunkley, my favourite player. I have him at F1. I have him at 130 average. That's because that's what he did last year when he was in the midfield, and he's getting even more this time around. So he actually went, I think, the first 5 or 6 rounds he went 128, but he got injured, I think, halfway through the 4th. So I figured if he didn't get injured, 130 average. So I don't think you can possibly not pick Dunkley. It's he has the ceiling to be the highest scoring player in the game. I'd love to see what he could do if he ever got 80% CBAs. I think he'd be pushing 135. So, other than that, love Josh Dunkley. Easy pick, never left my side. Shame if you ever took him out your side. I'm a massive believer of Joshua, so he's in. Now the next player. So the Discord, we all had this player over the past month or so, and then with a few mid prices popping up in the forward line, they've all left me stranded. They've left me for dead, so I'm on my own with this one, I think. We will pick, I'm ready for pain, one Isaac Heaney. I'm ready for this. I think that his work ethic and work rate is huge. The role isn't going to be great, but when it is good, I think he'll score very well. I have him in my top 6, although I bumped him down a little bit because Horse conned us all again. Playing him wasn't even half forward. I think he was playing out the square at times. So, but scored really well against North. Obviously, that's his dream matchup. So he looks really, really good. He looks primed, and I've been waiting for preseason Isaac Heaney. So a lot have jumped off, and the problem with this is because his durability, in terms of like his body can hold up for 22 games, no issue. In terms of like soft tissue stuff and getting soreness and like that, it's more the contact injuries which make him, I don't know, make his role worse than what it could be, for example. So he's gonna cop those contact injuries because he's reckless. Like, I checked his Instagram the other day, and he went skateboarding with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend stacked it and had like a massive blister on her hand. And I'm just thinking, why are you so reckless? And why do you, like, I don't know. He just would have been, go for a skate, go drop in at a skate park. And like, that's very dangerous for someone who hasn't done it. So I just figure, I don't know, everywhere he goes, everything that happens with him, there's some sort of contact injury or something like that happens with him. So when that happens, it's going to sting. But he's cheap. He's huge. I don't know. I've always wanted to pick him with a full preseason, and I think he can push 100 plus when his role is good. If not, it'll be in the 90s somewhere. So yeah, I think as well, a lot of the other forward 450k options have, apart from Zach Butters, their roles were quite poor over the preseason, or they didn't look as good, like a DeGoey or Taron Thomas. So sort of gone off those blokes, but at least Heaney can score at a position, unlike those two. So the next player I have is Zach Butters. I think Zach Butters is a must-have. His inside work is unbelievable, and simple as that, really. Looks really good, and we know he can score 200. That's pretty frightening, and if you don't have that, it's going to be painful. So we'll pick Zach Butters. Again, he, much like Heaney, he's reckless. He goes in head first in the contest. So I think everyone will pick Zach Butters, like 40%. So I don't think you can go without him. So you will pick Zach Butters. So my next player, if I can even remember which player I have, of course, Stephen Coniglio, 69% ownership, more free than an American. This pick looked really good. I have him as my third highest ranked forward, behind Butters second. So I'll release my rankings in a few days. I've already recorded it, just scheduled it. So I like Cogs. Was really good in the preseason. He's got his confidence back. GWS looked good for preseason. Easy pick. I don't think we need to even elaborate on that anymore. So my next player I have is one that's popped up out of the blue. He's only 8%. Is Christian Cherry, or Cherry, if that's how you say it. So he's playing first ruck. He scored well in previous preseason games in previous years. Simple as that. He's got the best ruck. First ruck is almost the best role outside of inside mid for Supercoach, basically. So yeah, he looked really good. He's been a standout. I think David Noble said he's been in the top 4 or 5 best performers over the preseason. I can't see why they would keep persisting with Goldie 80-90% in the ruck, given his age and where North are at. That sounds absolutely mad to me. And CCJ is a very poor ruckman, but seems like a good forward, or capable forward anyway. So I think you got to have him, especially if he's first ruck on that team sheet. So hopefully we get a bit more assurance that he will be the first ruck, but it sounds like he is, because he was in the practice game. So we'll see how it goes. And the next player we have is the best player at the Crom, Josh Rochelle. So yeah, he's a star. Love watching him play. I didn't really expect the sort of output from him this early, but yeah, it took me by surprise. And every time he has the ball, he makes something happen. He can take a few marks, push up high half forward. He loves a goal as well. So I think he can go 70 this year. I'm really impressed with him. When the games happen where the goals don't come, we're going to have to cop a 40 or a 50 probably. But yeah, big fan of him, and I definitely think he can kick a bag and, kickstart his cash gen, scoring a 90 or 100. I think he's already done it in the preseason, so we'll pick Rochelle. And then my final 2 options on the bench are, if I can find it, so Corey Durden. I think his job security is good. I think he's very talented, and he was able to get 16 touches in one of the preseason games. So had a calf knock, not a calf strain, which is a little different. So it sounds like he's fine, a bit precautionary. He'll get up for round 1. Might be a slow burn, but I like him, and he's not one I'm willing to skimp on down to Hugh Dixon, because I think he'll make more money long term with better job security. So he's in. And then my final one is Nick Martin. So I was really impressed with him. He could not have done any more to warrant a spot in the round 22, in the best 22 at Essendon, let alone a spot on the list. So he played really well, mostly half forward, able to find the ball a little bit and use the ball okay. So I hope he plays. If he doesn't, I think we'll be forced to go for Hugh Dixon. I think we have to, but see how that goes. So that's my team. The one concern up forward, so I don't have Brody or Mcgovern. So I'll speak about those two quickly. I'm definitely worried not having Mitch Mcgovern because he has a lot of scoring power and he can have a massive spike game if he just intercepts everything. His role is really, really Supercoach friendly. It's doing whatever he wants, trying to intercept, a bit like how they want to use Ridley this year, with a few kick-ins as well. The reason why I don't have him is big up to Big Footy for this one, but apparently he sat out the fourth quarter and they said that he was like shaking his head on the bench. So they just took him out of the game, but he's not on the injury report, so sounds like he's fine. But it's just a reminder that his durability and work ethic off the field has not been AFL standard for many years now. Has something clicked with him? I'm not sure. I definitely think he's worth the risk, but I feel like, like Heaney sets the standards at his club. Mcgovern probably brings the standards down at his club, although I don't actually know what the case is for that this year. It could be different. So I could go down from Heaney to Mcgovern, but I don't really know where to use that money. That still doesn't get me Chapman up to Ridley, for example. So I think I am still worried because of his scoring power, but I hate his durability. So, conclusion is I think he's worth a risk, but I can't fit him in, put it that way. And then Will Brody. I don't mind Will Brody. I think there's red flags with him. His time on ground, Fife is coming in to play full-time mid. I think Erasmus is going to press for his spot because Erasmus should be playing round 1 from what I've read, and I loved him in his draft year. 16 contested possessions a game in Colts, has a great overhead game. Could mimic Bont a little bit. A little shocked he's not playing. He should be playing, in my opinion. So apparently he spat the dummy or something for not playing. I think that was on one of the AFL fantasy podcasts. So I think, Brody's job security isn't super high, but his scoring power is definitely very good. And we only got to see him versus a very sorry injured West Coast team. So there's a few red flags with Brody, but he can definitely go, I think he can go 85 plus if he does play. So I am a little bit worried without him, but he's also has soft tissue history, so that's that as well. But at the price, it doesn't really matter too much. So that's my team. I'm okay with it. I'd love to run Ridley over Chapman, but I just can't find a way. I'd have to go Heaney down to Rowe Smith, I think. And I don't know if Rioli's back. I think Rowe Smith's role might not be as friendly as it was in the preseason. But that's the team. Let me know what you think. Actually, I don't think I'm going to read the comments because I think I've read comments before and people talk me out of stuff. So I've had a whole preseason to think about this. I shouldn't be changing it a week out from round 1. So thanks for watching the video. Give us a subscribe and all that if you don't mind. That'd be good. Help grow the channel. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.